Welcome to More with the Mac interactive session. We're going to have some short demos. We're going to have some Q&A. We're even going to have some special guests stop by. So sit back, relax, get your notes and ask questions, and enjoy More with the Mac interactive.
This is the More with the Mac interactive session. We are here to ask some people some questions that have been using the Mac for a long time, like me and Erik. Michael, how long have you been using the Mac?
I started with Tiger in 2006.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know you should be doing this. You've been doing it longer than everybody.
Me and the Mac have a love-hate relationship, though. I can't stay committed to it sometimes.
I hear you. All right, Jane, we're going to start with you because you're the newest Mac user. So using VoiceOver, when you first started using VoiceOver, what was the biggest mindset shift that you had to compromise versus JAWS per se?
Well, actually, I do use Windows for work.
I know you do. I know. We'll get to that part. Quit jumping the gun. We'll get to that. We're just talking about when you started using it.
I had to seriously get used to the interacting and uninteracting portion of it. That was the hardest thing for me because I just didn't understand why we had to do that. But and also command versus control. Command versus control, because it that's very important to accomplish anything on the Mac. You are commanding the Mac, you're not controlling it. So yeah, I had to remember that.
After several years, where is VoiceOver clearly more efficient? That's what that word is. Efficient than JAWS in your daily work?
Oh, hands down, item chooser. No question about it. I wish there was item chooser on Windows. That would make my rendering of Reaper projects so much faster. Navigating the interface, because I know the name of the button or the element that I want, but I don't want to press tab 37 times to get to that element. So for me, it's hands down item chooser 100% of the time.
So you don't use Reaper on the Mac at all?
Oh, I use Reaper on the Mac all the time, but There are occasions when I am editing audio on Windows, and then I remind myself why I use Reaper on the Mac all the time, because I got to tab all the way through just to change a file from a WAV file to an MP3 file.
Jane, this question is for you. Now, let's just say you don't use Windows. We're just going to pretend that.
Okay.
If VoiceOver and JAWS change or traded pricing points, would that affect your decision?
So I mean, equally, I would say we pay about the same price anyway nowadays, or even more. But in my daily work, no, because I mean, it's I guess, well, I use all the tools that are available to me at the moment. So really, at this point, it's kind of equal. But in VoiceOver terms, you do get a beautiful computer with it. In JAWS, then you get to choose your hardware. So
which platform makes it easier to recover from something going wrong? And that's Mac, hands down, because you can do everything on Mac with no sighted help. You can restore from a clean install. You can use terminal. You're not going to get silent. At least VoiceOver, when it's hanging or doing something, it's going to tell you busy, busy, busy. So to me, and I'm not saying that Windows hasn't come a long way, but they had to, because VoiceOver and the Mac have been that way since probably 2010, 11, 12, somewhere in that range, where you could do everything with no sighted help. Out of the box, walk into a store, bring a Mac home, set it up with no sighted help. I mean, and to me, some say that Narrator can help you do that. on the start screen is, whatever. I don't know because I don't use Windows in that way. But I know for a fact, and Michael, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the Mac has provided more accessibility when it comes to that category.
I think the Mac has provided it for longer. I do think Windows 11 with Narrator is pretty darn close to what VoiceOver is with the Mac in the out-of-box experience. So I think now they're a lot closer, but yes, the Mac is, I think it was Tiger. You could reset your Mac independently without any assistance. That was 2006. You were not doing that with Windows XP or 2000.
Oh, no, you were not. All right, Jane, here you go. This is because you use both. I do too, but I don't feel like answering it. So, what specific tasks at work force you to stay on Windows?
Oh, do you really want me to answer this? You know what? And Michael knows this well. I deal with spreadsheets on Excel almost on a daily basis. Today, I just got a training on a database system that is online that forces us then to move away from Excel spreadsheets, but I still have to use them. Definitely writing reports and checking for grammar errors with the text analysis tool using JAWS. Different corporate work things. But yes, these tools are now cross-platform and available on the Mac too. But when you get a job, unfortunately, your computers and operating systems, at least when I was introduced to corporate, is kind of decided for you. So they gave me a Windows computer and they had JAWS and stuff installed in it, so that means that I can't use any other system except for the computer that is given to me that is already in their company database with their company software, and that's why I have to use Windows.
When you move between JAWS and VoiceOver in the same day, what causes the most friction?
Not having your item chooser? Oh. I don't know if that question was intended for me, but so on the MacBooks, I have a MacBook Pro in front of me, M3 Pro Max, and it's a nice computer, and the keyboards are all laid out the same. So your function key is in the lower left-hand corner. Then you have Control, Option, and Command. My Lenovo laptop, and I don't know why my brain does this, but it has Control in the bottom left corner, FN, Windows, and Alt. I will find myself, when I'm jumping between the two computers every once in a while, even though they're not right next to each other, I'll still press Control, Windows, left and right arrow key, and it does not work well. What that actually does is jumps you between virtual desktops in Windows 11, so it really can throw my day off too.
How hard is it to switch your keyboard mindset between JAWS and VoiceOver?
Okay, so I have a trick for that. There is something called sharp keys.
Oh yeah, I got that too.
Used to map your keyboard so that you don't forget your keyboard commands, but you just have to, it's a different operating system. You have to think differently in the way you approach approach it. But I also virtualized Windows on my MacBook Air, and also had boot camp for 7 years on a MacBook Pro. So, by the way, they have the best hardware when it comes to Windows. If you ever want to install Windows on a Mac, they have the best hardware for that. I'm just saying that you could do it on one system if you choose to do so. But it's just a different approach and mindset. So again, Command for the Mac as Control for Windows is how I remember it.
If you could switch to Mac full time, would you? For all your daily tasks?
Yep, I have several times. So when I first got the job that I'm doing now, I was using. Now, let me ask you this: come back with a rebuttal. Does having a Mac with Windows and Parallels count as switching to a Mac as full time? Because then you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, because we have to do it. My other question was though to you, what keeps you using Windows? What does the Mac not have or VoiceOver not have that keeps you reverting to Windows? Besides, if you didn't have the job you had and you was Microsoft or Apple and you didn't have to use Windows, what would you bring from JAWS and Windows to Mac and VoiceOver?
So, word processing, even if I didn't have the job that I have right now, word processing for me is easier in Microsoft Word, probably because that's what I've used since forever. And so for me, it would be word processing. And frankly, there are some websites. I used to use a tool in a previous job called Zendesk. In Windows, I could navigate the table just fine, find all the tickets, activate the tickets, jump article to article between each messages with JAWS. You pull that same exact tool, same exact everything up in the Mac on either Chrome or Safari, and the table shows as empty. So it's little things like that would cause me to keep Windows around. But again, for that previous job, I just used Parallels for 2 or 3 years, and just navigated throughout the tool that we used and had no problem with it.
Web browsing, I've been having some crazy stuff since Tahoe with Safari not focusing. Like when you open Safari, right? And it starts you on a new web page. Mine focuses on the toolbar, and it doesn't show the web content unless you command tab over and back again. I don't know, is that some setting in Tahoe that I'm missing, or is that just a focus bug?
I don't have that problem, but I'm also running the M4, so.
Well, I'm running M4 too. I'm running the same thing. So that shouldn't be.
You might want to consider going through your VoiceOver utility, or you could listen to the episode of More with the Mac yesterday that dove deep into the VoiceOver utility.
You did.
But go through your settings and see if there's something that you haven't changed that should be changed. Now, there is the thing of all quick nav that didn't used to exist, because now when you push quick nav, you have the option to have quick nav turn on and single letter navigation automatically turn on also. I disabled the single key letter navigation because that's just what I'm used to. I also disabled the fact that you can type in an edit field without turning quick nav off, because that's what I'm used to. But there might be something in those settings that you haven't changed in a while that may need to be tweaked. Where does VoiceOver actually make you faster in your day-to-day tasks?
Or item chooser, because commanders. I'm a huge user of the keyboard commanders. Love them.
Oh yes.
And that makes it so I can just quickly jump between. The closest, I think, at least in my opinion, on Windows, is pinning items and organizing them to your taskbar. So, for example, right now I used to use right option M to open mail, but now I use right option and the number 3 to open mail, because on my Windows computer, Windows key plus 3 opens Outlook. So it just makes it a lot more muscle memory for me. I think also with VoiceOver, being able to do VO Shift C to copy the last spoken phrase to clipboard and then paste it into a bug report will be helpful. And I'm going to be fully transparent. This wasn't part of the question, but now we're going to talk about the Mac. And there's one tool on the Mac that just 100x's my productivity, and that's Launchbar. I use it for everything from Clipboard Manager to moving files around to doing everything, because then I don't have to deal with the Finder, which the Finder isn't bad, but Launchbar just makes it so much more convenient to find stuff.
Have you played with the new options in Spotlight, though? Because they have more stuff in there now, which
The problem that I have with Spotlight is if you use Spotlight. Like if I press Command Space right now, it says application, and I put a tilde sign that puts me in my home. I tap my right arrow, and then I can just down arrow, and there's no extra sounds or extra sluggishness. For me, the launch bar is even faster than the new Spotlight is.
Which platform do you invest more time in learning deeply, and why?
I like the Mac better. It's just I've been a Mac user since 2013, so it's just, I don't know, more intuitive. But I've also been a Windows user since that time. Well, almost in 2004 when I first had my Windows XP machine, but it's just the Mac is more intuitive. You understand, I guess, the concepts of more than trying to explain to people where things ought to be. because with Windows things change. Well, the Mac too, but the Mac, you have more, like, that your Apple menu is going to be on the top left. It
never moves.
So
right.
That your command structure is going to be your, if you remember command and whatever, then that doesn't change. Things like that. If you know your foundational, you should be fine.
Full disclosure, everybody knows that, if you listen to any of my episodes, I grew up on Windows. The only reason I went back to Windows is because I worked for Target Corporate, and that's probably why most of us, me, Jane, and Michael, we worked, because the corporate world dominates Windows. Mac Apple kind of, dominates the education part of it. It doesn't take it over, but that's where they more concentrate their efforts at. Michael, have you ever tested your work tools on the Mac? And what happened?
It worked. I felt like I did not have as much control over the formatting, and we have a lot of formatting that we have to adhere to. But I've tested them. Worked okay. I will tell you though, I absolutely, and sorry Microsoft and all the friends I've made over at Microsoft, but I absolutely hate Microsoft Outlook on the Mac. It is horrible for some reason.
It is. I have to agree with you.
It's so bad. Guys.
I have no idea what their line of thinking was, because it does not behave nowhere near how it does on Windows.
Well, it could behave though. Like they're almost there. But for example, if you try to navigate your list of folders, man, Focus gets into some weird places. Or you're trying to edit a message, I just don't get it. So that would be my work tool that I'm like, nope, I'm going back to Windows for that.
Do you think the limitations is the screen reader, the operating system, or the software?
I think that depends on the limitations that we're talking about, because each scenario is unique. I really think that's a limitation, or that's a difficult question to answer, and I'm not trying to have a cop out, but for example, well, we just talked about it. Microsoft Outlook, VoiceOver works just fine in situations such as MacMail or Mindstream or other mail applications. Or I use Gmail on the web on my Mac all the time, and I have no problems with it. But when I go into Microsoft Outlook, I can't navigate reliably, and I know a couple of people that do on the Mac. To me, that's software. That's not VoiceOver. That's not necessarily macOS. It's the way that the software has been written.
That is a loaded question, because like Jane said, Apple has the best hardware in the world. Most people buy a Mac just to put Windows on it. And you could jump over to the application side of it. Excel sucks on the Mac, so does Word, but if you are on your PC, it goes together like peanut butter and jelly. But there's other things that are on the Mac that to me are just that much better. Audio production, video editing, stuff like that. So that's pretty much a loaded question.
Could you use numbers and pages effectively? Say if you had a job that required you to use them every day, could you use them effectively?
I did not have. Remember, I was in the BEP program down in Florida.
Oh, that's right.
I used numbers. I did not use Excel. I used pages. I did not use Word. I ran that whole business from my Mac and iPad. I did not use a PC when I did that business.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So, and the nice thing about numbers is you could write a sheet in Excel if you so chose and import it into numbers, and it will not mess up anything.
Mm-hmm.
But there's another limitation there that we could talk about. Unless they found a way to do it, and maybe Michael can correct me on this one, they have not found a way to have VoiceOver read your column titles when you're on row 58 and the column title's all the way up at the top. Have they done that yet in numbers or not?
Not that I'm aware of.
So yeah, that's a drawback for me using Excel over numbers, because I don't want to have to jump back up to the top every time I want to know what a row title is, or a column title, I should say.
Right.
So that's one part that Microsoft did get right. It says, which screen reader is better for a long-term career? Now, Microsoft does dominate the corporate world, but that's not to say that the Mac is impossible to use at the workplace, because I know people who use it at Target, Lyft, and other places. So that doesn't necessarily mean the Mac does not work in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael, you said that you have used some of your work stuff on a Mac just to see how it would work, right?
Yeah, and long-term career is a very open-ended, subjective question, because someone could easily have a career in app development, and then, of course, they would need a Mac to compile those apps, or maybe their career is multimedia. Then I would say, get a Mac. Most of the duties that I do in my current role within ACB could definitely be done from a Mac. The only problem that I have is reliably formatting and organizing content, and that could just be a brain issue for me, because sometimes I know you can set headings in different tools, and you can set certain font points, and you can edit content and create links and stuff like that. But for my brain, it's just easier in Windows. And I am using JAWS right now, but I'm using Narrator a lot more. And I think one of the things that I like about Narrator is, and I'm about to make Cliff mad, just saying, I'm warning y'all here right now, I'm about to make Cliff mad.
Don't make my
On
boy
occasion, I use my caps lock key as my voiceover.
No, God, here you go.
I told you. But the cool thing about it is you can use your caps lock key and arrow keys in Narrator on Windows to navigate like you would if you were using VoiceOver on the Mac. And that's pretty cool, actually. And then with this new Commanders thing, I don't know if you guys realize this, but it's a lot easier for people to switch from NVDA or JAWS to the Mac. And for a while, what I did is I went and don't hit me, Cliff. I'll help you fix that P4 next. But I went and I set caps lock T to read me the title bar instead of caps lock F2, or caps lock F12 to read me the time. And you can go in and configure all of those in the commanders now, because they're in the commands, not commanders, as Cliff kept saying yesterday. Commanders, it's commands. But if you go in there, you can actually set it to watch for a keystroke when you assign a command to it, and that's pretty powerful.
Oh, y'all heard that? Michael Babcock actually listens to my show.
I didn't hear that.
All right, but to wrap it up with us anyway, we'll go to the audience, see if they have anything else for the panel. But, I mean, again, like I've always said, I grew up on Windows. I'm not bashing Windows. It's not a bad, Microsoft has come a long way. It took them a while, but they did it. But my passion is the Mac. Windows pays the bills. That's what I tell people all the time. So,
have you guys ever used any of the automation, tools, the shortcuts on the Mac and things like that? And what's been your experience? Is my question with automation stuff.
I have not, but when I think it's episode 5 or 6 of More with the Mac this year, Matt from TTJ did a demonstration in the Spotlight, but in that Spotlight, if you do Command 3, it actually uses the shortcuts for the automation that it uses. So there's some built-in stuff, but I've never really got deep into it.
Okay.
What about you, Michael?
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir. That is one of the things that keeps me married to the Mac. I've got some apps I'm about to rattle off, and you should check them out if you haven't yet. One, Keyboard Maestro. Keyboard Maestro is a powerful tool that allows you, it's misleading, but it allows, by the name, because you assume you can just do keyboard keystrokes, but it can trigger automations based on different actions that occur within your Mac, and you can go as in-depth as you want. You can even run shell scripts automatically if you have those set up and configured. Number 2, Hazel. Every Mac user should own Hazel. If you don't, go buy it right now. It's
I love
best
that.
$30 you'll spend in your entire life, I think. That's a little overrated, but it keeps my files organized. I've got Hazel rules that run on my downloads whenever I download a Zoom file, because Zoom always starts with GMT. And there's typically M4A when I'm downloading the audio, but it also has other items there. And one cool thing about Hazel is you can say, hey, if I download a file from this URL, zoom.us, then take action on it. So I have a folder in my Dropbox folder called Zoom Projects in Progress, and it will move those files out of my downloads automatically to put them into the Zoom Projects in Progress folder. So I always know where those are, and I don't have to go weed through my downloads folder. That automation is worth it right now for me, hands down. And then we were talking earlier about LaunchBar. I use LaunchBar for what it sounds like I need to go listen to a podcast episode just so I can be proven wrong about Spotlight. But I can type. So, for example, if I go in here and I type in DOW, that puts me into my downloads folder. And then I have a MP3 file, and I'm doing this right now. I can press tab, and that says send to, and then I type in DT, and I hit enter, and that sends that MP3 file to my co-host Demasi on his messages automatically, because I've set up custom shortcuts that allow you to do that. So the Mac is, I think, hands down the best platform when it comes to automation.
What would you say to a new Mac user, and what resources would you recommend? And then also, what would you say to a new Mac user who is looking at using her Braille display, specifically Brilliant BI40X with her Mac, and what resources would you give? And also, Cliff, here's the part that's going to make you mad, but I'll tell you why I do it. I use the caps lock key too, but the only reason I do it is because I have small hands, and short fingers, so I have Brailler hands. So when I use that, it's hard to reach. I'm pretty sure you're cuter than Michael, so I won't be mad at you. But but the main thing that I would tell you as a new Mac user is forget everything you know about Windows. You can't transfer that over because there's similarities, but the altogether workflow is not the same. Oh, and the resource that I would give you is this guy. You know, he wears a Tech Talk Coast to Coast podcast where he does an episode every week on the Mac. I don't know him that well. I'm using that. But believe me. And hey, what is it called? Technically Working. They have some good tips on there. I've been catching up on episodes at work because I'm not working, so I'm listening. But they got some good content too. They really do. They got some tips and tricks that would help you as a new and advanced Mac user once you get to that point. So the web is always good. Anything you want to know, you could always follow it up with Apple support, and that would definitely take you to an article or even a user guide on the content that you're looking for and walk you through step by step. So,
don't forget that if you go to the VoiceOver utility with VOF8 or FN VOF8, and you go up to the help menu, there's an option here that says VoiceOver Help. Spend some time in there. Read, try things out, experiment. That's a good resource to get started. after you've listened to the great podcasts already mentioned.
Even me, as a so-called veteran, long-time user of the Mac, going on 16 years now, I go in there every couple of months because Apple's always sneaking new stuff in there.
Braille users on the Mac, your best friend is going to be your Mac keyboard help connected with a Braille display. The reason is because every Braille display is different, meaning every key map is going to be mapped to a function that can be performed on the Mac, but again, that is going to be different on whatever Braille display you have. So make sure you go into keyboard help with VOK and press all of the key combinations except for the escape key, because that will take you out of it, but that will allow you to get familiar with the key layout that is specific to your Braille display, because yes, Braille displays, they have different models and more models.
And on top of that, VoiceOver does have a section in VoiceOver Utility. You might want to go there because there is a Braille section where you can customize how your Braille shows up. If you want that line going across the bottom, if you want the 8 dot, whatever the case may be. But like Jane said, keyboard help would probably be your best friend with the key commands and the key maps, because VoiceOver will announce those to you as you're going through that menu. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us for this panel. I'd like to especially thank Michael Babcock, Erik Whitten, and Jane Sue. That's how you say your last name. Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank you for joining More at the Mac, JP Reloaded. Remember, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, something you want demoed, or a topic you want covered, send us an email at feedback@stiritup.com. That's FEE, the letter D, the word back, at STURITUP.com. See you next time.